Well, hello there. How are you? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are doing well and in great spirits. It has become a chilly. I'm not even sure if it's fall, or are we actually in winter? I am not 100% sure, but my oh my oh my, has it been cold in the Bay? It's been very, very rainy lately, which is great. To be honest, I've been so over such a hot, scorched earth like summer that just being able to experience cold weather and just, rocking one's favorite cologne out in the cold, putting a jacket on. Telling you, it was just too hot of a summer for yours truly to handle. Uh, but that's just me. That's just me. I hope you're doing well, safe, sound, warm, cold, wherever you are, and whatever it is that you're doing. It's a pleasure to be with you again here on the Working Ant with yours truly, your host and coach, Rami Balut. Thank you so much for all the love and support, as always. Let's get started with our topic of conversation today. For those of you that have known me over the years, it's no surprise to you that I'm all about, nourishing one's network before needing one's network. I'm all about relationships. I'm also all about, celebrating people whenever possible because, who knows when we have a chance to celebrate people. Life is indeed fragile and, being and surrounding yourself with people, just people these days is such a blessing. It absolutely is such a blessing. So whether that's hybrid work for you or whether you're going into the office, whether you're being able to interact with people every single day in person or otherwise, what a blessing it is just to be able to have that option. In any case, I mean, just have an option to celebrate people whenever possible. And today is really about a sort of a mixture of like being able to celebrate people, gaining a lot of that celebration for oneself, but a very different take on this and one that actually goes to a level of depths that I really have ever come across before. And I just thought, hey, you know what? Might as well share it. We're getting closer to the holidays. It's somewhere around like fall. We're getting into the winter time. And I was like, this is really a nice time to self-reflect, think through sort of how this year has transpired for yourself as you approach the holidays, and really just think about a lot of the relationships that you've built along the way. We talked a lot about, how we sort of plan ahead in our future, the last episode, actually thinking through who we are becoming as we are in pursuit of our goals, really thinking about like the person we are becoming as opposed to just the outcome itself, because the outcome itself is a short-term thing and who we're becoming is more of like a long-term side of things. But anyways, that is for the last episode. If you would love to listen to that, I think it's an absolutely great episode. Of course, I'm coming from a very biased opinion, but today we're going to talk about the concept called Mitfreude. And this actually comes from, I don't even know how to pronounce it in German. Let me see if I could. I would say Mitfreude. Only because I used to work and live in Germany once upon a time for a very brief period of time back at my days at MySpace. And what a beautiful country, what a beautiful place. And Berlin was just great. And we were in the Mitte district, which was in the middle. But in this particular case, it's Mit, which is with, and Freud, which is joy. So with joy. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today as we celebrate people. And the reason why this is actually very, very different, the reason why I think you should really, really pay attention to this, because it actually takes a very unique take on what it's like to celebrate other people. So, typically if you're at work or, if you're leading a team and you want to recognize somebody, people usually applaud the outcome of what takes place. And, and what a beautiful thing to actually do, to just say like, hey, you know what, because of so-and-so, we've achieved such and such. We've increased, our process efficiencies. We've diversified these channels of revenue. for some business outcomes. We've acquired enough data to make a sound business decision. We've got enough information to really create a powerful narrative, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these forms of, recognition, which is such a beautiful thing. I mean, who wouldn't want to be recognized? And when someone is recognized, my hope, because you are listening to me and you are either subscribed to my podcast or this channel, that you actually, celebrate and go out of your way to celebrate other people's successes. We've talked about this several times. I'll say it again and again. Go out of your way to celebrate other people's successes, and make sure they actually know that you've gone out of your way to celebrate them. It's such a beautiful thing. It really, really bridges relationships. It makes you be, an individual that can anchor off of someone else's successes so that when it's time for your own, the other person could also be a raving fan here. Not too much rocket science here. With Mitfreude, by the way, which was a term dubbed by Friedrich Nietzsche, who, if you're not aware of Friedrich Nietzsche, I very much encourage you to read up on some of his work. Just an incredible, incredible philosopher, and much more. But, this sort of idea was, really developed because it was a different take on how to celebrate joy with another person. And really what it comes down to is, instead of celebrating someone's joy, cheerleading, applauding them, recognizing them, which is all wonderful. This is almost like asking someone to feel the actual joy with the other person. Instead of having joy for someone, it's actually having joy with someone. And why is that so freaking important? Well, it's important for so many reasons, because this is taking like your idea of a relationship with someone to the next level. And I'm speaking about this, purely professionally here. It could work personally, of course, but in the realm of the working end, we're going to keep it professional, at least in this particular case. And that is, how incredible would it be to just take a moment and reflect on someone's achievements, as if they were your own, And this is really being able to have the amount of like joy with the other person, which is the idea of Mitfreude. And that is, how amazing would it be just to think through what other people's, sacrifices were, what their circumstances were, all of these times that they've actually invested, sleepless nights, whether they were practicing sprezzatura, which I very much encourage you to listen to if you have it on a podcast, but whatever it was that led up to this outcome, really just celebrating the joy with the other person. It's almost feeling precisely what they are feeling. And why is this so important to do? Well, number one, it really separates you from how others are actually celebrating this other person's successes. Because typically, when we're celebrating success, unless you're very, very intimately aware of like what it took for this person to actually achieve this success, you may just celebrate it and move on. And you know what? Good on you for celebrating it to begin with. But if you're looking to really immerse yourself in a relationship with another person professionally, really understanding what they actually value, what they fear, what they care about again, what they actually want for themselves, what they loathe even. Well, what a way to actually do so with Mitfreude, which is, celebrating joy with the other person, really experiencing those emotions that they have during their successes as if it were your own. And I absolutely love this new take on just how one can really come to terms with, understanding somebody and actually using those emotions, not just to really understand the other person, but often just understand yourself. As we are continuing to go down, the hustle and bustle. And these days, I mean, I heard, I think just today, Meta's laying off 20% of their staff. I hope you are not working for Twitter. What a whirlwind of emotions one must have felt on Friday if someone was laid off. And then today I read in the news that a substantial portion of those people have been asked to come back. And so you can only imagine what people are actually going through. And there will be more layoffs as time goes by, I'm sure, with these larger tech companies. My hope is if you are, in a tech company, you really sort of develop this level of dependability and reliability where you are an indispensable asset, of course. But what will happen, what will happen, I don't want to sort of get into that. I want to be positive for you because it's good to actually stay positive despite, what's coming around all around us. And I'm not saying to ignore reality here. I'm just saying, the reality actually is what the reality actually is. What's going to come is going to come. And irrespective of those circumstances, I hope there's no level of like an action bias where we now have to do something about, our careers. No, in fact, I'm hoping that you've been building this over the years when, it's inevitability, right? A recruiter or a hiring manager is going to give you a call, and I want you to feel elated. I'm so excited to share at minimum what you've been working on in the present day. And that's all great stuff because, how wonderful it actually is to build one's reputation, builds one rapport, not just with others, but with himself. And what a beautiful thing Mitfreude can actually do here in this context, because it actually opens up these emotions that we often actually have suppressed for ourselves. And it's incredible at times because, we seem to forget what we're going through, and we're so fixated on what other people are going through. I think it was like a Marcus Aurelius statement of some sort, which was, if we love ourselves more than other people, it's quite ironic that we actually care about other people's opinions more so than our own. And I'll tell you what here, with Mitfreude and being able to celebrate other people's successes as if they were your own, it actually opens up this level of emotion and understanding within yourself so that you could really sort of connect with yourself more so than you may have done in the past, or at least like recently. And how beautiful is it that in the process, you're actually forming such a strong bond with the other person. In a world where there is so much information, so much going on, and such a famine of some sort, like a dry spell, unlike any other attention span. Wouldn't it be amazing to actually have this level of connection with someone else? And, I've said this time and again, and I'll say it here. One of the greatest quests for all of us as human beings is the quest to actually feel that we are understood, not just by ourselves, but by others. And when you showcase that you truly can understand the other person by connecting with them on an emotional level during a peak state of success, that just resonates. It sticks, and the other person, doesn't just look at you as someone who's celebrating their success, but actually is sharing that joy emotionally with them. And I'll tell you, these days in the hybrid world where things are just virtually, going on, it is such a challenge. It is so difficult to actually bridge a connection to begin with. But really, really just looking at someone's success and saying, hey, what did this person actually have to go through? How many hours did they have to work? What sort of sacrifices did they have to make? Did they actually overcome a challenge like, imposter syndrome to actually put this together? What sort of belief systems did they have to overcome or have reaffirmed in order for that to actually happen and take place? And, more often than not, if you're able to think about these things, you're able to really connect with that other person emotionally. And when you do so, you truly understand what they actually value, understand some of their basic human needs. Some could have, validation as being one of those. Others could have this level of, recognition, growth and learning being another as well. Whatever it may be, being able to understand someone at that level is not something typical. And if you go out of your way to actually do that, you're creating a connection that I think very, very few people will actually go out of their way to actually have. And, if you're in a leader in a position of power of some sort, this is a great way to just really open up your eyes and open up your feelings and heart to like what someone actually has to go through. And I truly believe, when you bridge a relationship, especially if you're in a leadership position with a member of your team, it's just so much more rewarding for the both of you. When you are celebrating a particular success, it looks better on you as a leader. It looks as if you can influence this person without using your authority, perhaps, and that just makes the world a really, really better place. And here, glancing over here, looking at my notes, it really, really. I'm looking over to see if there's anything I actually forgot for our time with one another today. And really, it all it comes down to is just allowing yourself to connect with someone more than you ever thought was possible. Remember, nourish those relationships before you'll ever need them. And go beyond just what's really being required of you in your life, in your work, as you conduct yourself. If you go further and beyond some of those things that are just required of you, you'll probably uncover a lot of things along the way. It'll get you out of your comfort zone. If anything, being able to connect with someone through Mitfreude, just brings a whole new paradigm to a relationship that I'm sure when practiced and practiced well, effectively and consistently, it'll be more of a relationship than you ever thought possible. And with that being said, it's absolutely wonderful to be with you. Thank you for investing your time with me. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you're here in the Bay, on the West Coast, please stay warm. If you are on the East Coast, please stay warm. Central, all around the world, please take care of yourselves and of each other. And until then, this is your host and coach signing out from the Working Ant. See you next week. Bye.